So, thanks everybody for joining. I know that this is kind of a webinar to go over both the Flock system as well as our brand new Colonial Life integration. I'm really excited to show everybody this integration. It's through APIs, it's very easy to use, and I think it'll look pretty familiar to a lot of the folks on the line. So, a little bit about Flock. Who are we, and how are we connected to Colonial Life? So we were hatched, as we like to say, in 2015. We were founded by a group of HR as well as brokerage professionals to kind of combat some of the benefits technology that's out there on the market. We're cloud-based. We include the HR as well as the benefits modules. So keep that in mind as I demo the product, that it is a modular system. So if you have clients that are strictly looking for a benefits enrollment tool, we can certainly just utilize the platform for the benefits enrollment piece. But as you'll see today, we also have HR components such as employee onboarding as well as employee profiles, so a full HR system. And just a point I wanted to drive in here too, this is a highly secure system. We even have kind of two-step authentication if you'd like, which just makes it a really secure platform for your clients to store their employee data on here. We're broker friendly, so we even have a broker portal where you can manage all of your clients' plans on there. So any of their voluntary plans obviously can all be in that broker portal. There's plenty of reports you can run, and we really try to build those strong foundational relationships with our broker partners. Which brings us to Colonial Life, which is one of these integrated partners. And we've kind of created this integration as deeply as we could to make sure that it will increase kind of your enrollment and make it a really simple to use experience. So a little bit about kind of the integration before we actually get into the product. So you'll see as I go through the demo today, but kind of a few key points that I want to drive home so that you're aware of kind of the competitive edge to this integration is that we can import existing Colonial plans through a bridge from the Harmony system to Flock, so employees can enroll passively. So we can actually pull that current enrollment data right into Flock. So it'll automatically show up when the employees go through their enrollment flow. And we're able to enroll all Colonial plans. So even those agent-based ones, you can sit down with the employees and go through the enrollment process. So I'll be showing that today. And this is an immediate sync. There's no lag time. The data doesn't need to go by file feeds. It's a direct connection between the two systems or a direct bridge. So the data will immediately sync from Flock to Harmony. New hires, life events, and open enrollment can be handled. So this isn't strictly just for the open enrollment. New hires can go through the process as well as life events. And then agent-based enrollment support while they enroll. So again, you can do the agent-based plans in here. You can sit down with those employees, kind of connect with them directly and explain a little bit more about the offering, since some of these voluntary life plans are not as intuitive. So you want to make sure that you're there to support them and increase the engagement, put some more money in everybody's pockets. And it's just simple and effortless, as you'll see today. So a little bit about who this software is for. So I just wanted to let you know kind of the core demographics of the type of client that might be a good fit for the platform. So if you want the benefits only piece, we recommend up to 5,000 employees. If you want the HR and benefits modules combined, we recommend about capping off around 1,000 employees. So we can certainly handle those larger life groups, especially for the benefits enrollment. Everything's paperless from the enrollment as well as the employee onboarding. And we're mobile friendly. So the mobile apps are available. It's a user-friendly design, really simple to pull up. So we tried to make it modern to move with obviously your clients as well as everybody on the go. We want to have everything at our fingertips now. And everybody on the line will get Colonial preferred pricing for any of the groups that you introduce to the platform. With that being said, we'll kind of jump into a traditional demo of the platform. What we'll be covering today is the employee experience. So we're first going to go through the offer letters, the employee onboarding, benefits enrollment, as well as time off and calendar. And then afterwards, we're going to go into the Colonial Life integration. And this is actually going to be part of the benefits enrollment, but we'll go over some of the agent setup pieces, employee enrollment, as well as key selling points. So before we dive right in, I'm just going to take a quick break, see if we have any questions so far, just about anything I've gone over, any of the core demographics, anything about the integration so far before we get into that demo. Perfect. Okay. I just have somebody asking again, just kind of driving home what the life group size would be. So again, I can go back to that slide. It was just the last one. So benefits only up to 5,000 employees, HRM benefits up to 1,000 employees. So just driving that home that, as you'll see, there kind of are two different modules in here. So the HR onboarding components, which really we kind of cap out around 1,000 employees. And it looks like I have another question there. So I just want to get over to that real quickly too. And really good question. So somebody wanted to know if you'll be receiving a copy of the actual presentation today, and we will be sharing that. So we are recording this and you can have access to it. It's a really good question. Okay, great. So we'll jump right into the employee experience and we'll start with our offer letter. So in Flock, we have a built-in template wizard essentially. So your clients can create templates for offer letters, for non-disclosures, whatever items are sent in their offer letter stage. The client's logo goes in this upper left-hand corner of this email, and then the employee just clicks the link in. And so again, the client's logo goes up here instead of Flock. And these are the templates I was just alluding to. So this one's a non-disclosure. I have an offer letter in here as well. And so these are saved templates. Again, I can copy and paste the bulk of the document. And then when I send this one out, all I had to do was enter the new hire's name, her title, and her starting salary. The rest of this was a saved template in the platform. We have the hiring authority signature right there. And then I can just sign this off as well. So again, this will be mobile friendly as well. So whatever devices they're on, it'll fit to the screen. And then I can also go through, sign things like my non-disclosure agreement in here and any other items if they have, insider trading, if they have non-competes, for instance, are pretty popular. So those might be ones they might have in here as well. And then once I complete this, I can go right into the actual platform. So the employee will be welcomed in. The welcome message is actually customizable, so we can have embedded videos in there, customizable welcome messages. And then this is essentially what the home screen would look like. So right here would be the client's logo. So it has the look and feel of their system of record. We have quick links on the left-hand side. Those jump to the most primary used portions of the system. Time off requests will show up here for managers, and then birthdays and work anniversaries as well. And then this middle portion is just an activity feed. So any changes that are made in the system, any messages you're sending through will show up kind of like a social media feed right there, just with different pieces of activity that have occurred. But for today, what we're going to do is we'll actually go through the onboarding experience. So everybody's going to have an onboarding checklist when they log in, which they can find in our pending tasks or under my tasks right here. And so this is highly customizable. We come pre-stocked with some of the standard items that you'll see across the board when it comes to HR. So again, if they're using both modules of the system, they're going to be using the onboarding features, which include items like your I-9s and your W-4s. But we have a built-in PDF mapper, so they can map out other forms, maybe something like a direct deposit form. They can even have employee handbook acknowledgements, whatever that might be. And so we'll actually go in and I'll show you what that PDF mapper looks like. So this was a direct deposit form that I mapped out. And so it's the physical PDF, and we'll just be filling that out electronically. So it opens up right here. I've included these check boxes when I mapped this form, so I can enter in this information. We can go ahead and enter in our bank info, for instance. And so let's just make this up right here. And as you see, it just copies right on top of that form. So it's filling it out right on top. And then at the bottom here, you can even include signature pads. So again, we can fill that all out electronically. They can insert the date, and then this will be stored in the employee's profile. So really great tools to complete your tasks along the way. We also have the reference documents tab here. And so one thing to note, these are normally company specific documents, everything from your handbooks and policies. We can also include benefits-based documents that you want the employees to have access to. So it's just a library in here for the employee to access. And with that, I actually wanted to go into our benefits enrollment flow. That's where I want to spend most of the time today, since I know that that's really everybody's kind of key spot that's on the line. So right here is the benefits tab. The employee goes right in and they go ahead to enroll and update. And so we work with everybody here at Colonial to get obviously the voluntary plan set up, but I'm also going to go through the flow of everything from your medical plans, your dental plans, et cetera. And so we'll work with their broker to get all of those plans set up as well. So the employee just goes right in. Their basic data will be copied over from their profile section. So if they are a previous employee, that will also just sync over from Harmony, normally this demographic info. But otherwise, if they're a new employee, they will have filled out their profile section. So this just auto-populates, so they don't need to spend time re-entering information. We try to make this as non-repetitive as possible. And then here we get to our dependents. I've previously added 2 dependents in here, but if I want to add a third, I just go right over to add dependent. And the employee just has to fill in this basic info to add an additional dependent on. So their basic demographic info, the relationship to the employee, and the address. They can also edit or delete these if they're made in error. And then here we actually get to our medical plan selection. They can go ahead and waive a plan. They have to choose a legitimate reason for waiving medical. So we'll go ahead and choose one. The employer contribution is optional. We do default to having that turned on. And then the employee contribution, if you watch those rates as I add on or take off dependents, they do update real time. So you can model what it looks like, maybe just add the child on there, maybe your spouse is covered under a plan of their own. And although it says select up here, you can really click anywhere on these plans to make an election between them. And then we like to include helper text along the way. So on this left-hand side, we have these green question marks, and those are all throughout the platform. So we try to drive the employee through the experience. These ones just offer helper text, so clear, concise definitions of these terminologies. And then as we scroll down here, we do include the SBCs for every plan in the system, since we know that these are more of summaries of those plan details, so they have access to them, so they can read more information about the plans before electing. And then here we get to our dental plan. Very similar experience. We can go ahead and waive out of these plans if we'd like. We can see what our rates look like with our dependents on there as well. We can click anywhere on these plans to make an election. Helper text on the left-hand side is for dental, and the SBCs on the bottom right here. And then one thing I really like about the system is we actually build in the logic. So I chose a PPO plan, which is why I am eligible for this FSA plan. If I chose an HDHP plan, for instance, this message wouldn't say, do you want to enroll? It would instead let me know that I would have to choose a non-HDHP plan to be eligible. So we really try to put some safeguards in the system to make sure that the employees are making legitimate elections. So for today, we're just going to go ahead and enroll. We do have a minimum and a maximum election for this one. And another safeguard right here is we'll see if I go above that max, first off, I get an error message, and secondly, it doesn't let me move forward. So I'm going to go right in between these two amounts. And then right here, we'll see the semi-monthly pre-tax deduction. So that updates immediately, and this will let me move forward. And so now we're going to get over to our voluntary plans. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop for questions really quickly because we're going to go right into the Colonial Life plans right now. And I want to see if anybody has any questions so far about anything else before we do a really deep dive into your enrollment process. So I'll take a break, see what questions we have on the line so far. And don't feel like you can't ask any questions. Certainly feel free to address those as we go. Perfect. So somebody's wanted to know how those plans actually get uploaded, and that's a really good question. So We are actually going to be responsible for the implementations for you. So we'll just coordinate with the broker to get those appropriate plans all uploaded so you don't have to worry about actually uploading any of those plans. We essentially just really need the plan details, and we have a wonderful support team that will be doing a lot of the build out right there. Um, so again, I think everybody just wanted to know who's doing the building. So again, just driving that home that our support team will be doing the building. And as you'll see with the Colonial Life plans in just a second, that those will actually import over from Harmony. So, there's really not much of a build out. We just need to know what plans that client has. But really good question. Perfect. So they want to know kind of what the enrollment process looks like for that individual, if it's going to be kind of be going through at the same time, if we're going to be doing group and individual at the same time. So each individual employee will go through the same enrollment process. So they'll go through this process individually. That's how most of our clients would do it. So for instance, this experience really is for a new hire, or maybe if there's a life event, if it's an open enrollment, and they can go through this process individually through their workflow. They will have to kind of make their elections unless we are having a passive enrollment in which they kind of are just don't need to make enrollments to be obviously enrolled for the next year. But if you're doing an active enrollment, everybody will have to go through this process. Perfect. And I have another question, just if this is a self-enrollment or agent and assisted. So that's the really nice thing, is you'll see with the Colonial plan. So I'll actually kind of segue into those. So these you can also do agent-based plans. So the employee can go through their medical, dental, and FSA, for instance. And then when we get to this voluntary, you can go ahead as an agent and do agent-assisted enrollment right here. So right here, we'll go into our Colonial Life Accident Plan. As you might see right here, this probably looks pretty familiar to a lot of the folks on the line. This is actually just the Harmony system, essentially embedded into the platform. So right here, we have the dependent shown, and we're going to go ahead, and what we'll do is we will go into the process for Robert to actually enroll into this. So let's pretend that we are the agent in this case, and they've gotten to this point of their enrollment. They're on their voluntary Colonial Life plans, and I'm there sitting with them. And it does just take a second, since it is actually calling the Harmony system. So it's not actually, like I said, sending a link, it's directly integrated into the system. So this will just load up that option for us to actually get a quote or to enroll. And so again, this can be agent-based right here, where you can sit down with the employee and go through this process. And this way, you don't have to, for instance, have them enroll on paper-based forms and then you do the administrative work and upload that into Harmony. This really is pulling Harmony into the Flock platform so that they can go through this process. So right here, it's pulling up the details for this employee, and we can actually go into our application now if we'd like. So as you'll see, this is just going to load the application in from Harmony. And so we're going to go through the entire application, and we could be sitting down with this employee to do so. And again, I'm sure you're familiar with kind of consent. So this is an electronic consent that you're agreeing to this process. And so now, again, this probably looks familiar, hopefully, to everybody on the line, is that this is directly from the Harmony system. So you can go through agent-based and sit down with this employee and explain what all of this means as they're going through, to make sure that you're gaining kind of a higher enrollment rate. So here, are you actively working, Medicare eligible? So you just go through this application process. They can add on beneficiaries down here and save and continue. And then the employee is not going to be enrolled. This is really to request a quote, and then they'll get the quote, and then you can go through the enrollment with them as well. So for these, they do still have to be approved to receive these, but you'll go through the application process and send this through. And then again, this will feed directly or bridge directly to Harmony. So you'll have that data already in the system when you go in there to go through that process. So all of this will just feed directly over. So I'm going to see, I think I probably have some questions about this enrollment process. Okay. Perfect. So I have somebody wanting to know if the enrollment, once it's completed, if the client's going to have access to this data, and they certainly will. So we have plenty of actually built-in reports that the employer is going to have access to. They can run these reports based off of, the voluntary plans, et cetera. And additionally, other than just having access to those, they can also see all of the enrollment for their employees. So they could individually look at them, or if they want to look at it in more of a concise manner, they can run a report and pull all of that data. So that's another perk of the system, I would say, is that they're going to have more visibility into kind of who's requested these quotes, who's put them through. And then that way they can also try to kind of drive the engagement as well. I have a question. Does it have to be group products? Absolutely not. I only have a couple Colonial plans in here for demoing, but we can have whatever Colonial plans you need. And again, another question, do the core benefits have to be agent assisted, or do they have to be self-enroll? So again, these can be agent assisted. You can be sitting down with them and going through this process as well. Perfect. So I think those were the main questions right up front, but feel free to put more through. What we're going to do, we're actually going to kind of finalize our enrollment right here. So we're going to skip down actually to our beneficiaries and just go do our trust allocation. So let's pretend we've gone through and completed all of our voluntary plans. Right here, we're just going to get to our beneficiary and trust allocation. So we've made all of our elections. Let's say we've put our quote through for our voluntary plans as well. Here we get to beneficiary and trust allocation. We know most folks want to add dependents as beneficiaries, so you can just click this button right here. And this, you can just import over the data for your beneficiaries rather than having to re-enter all of that data. If I'd like to add a trust, I can do so right here. And then we can go ahead and add primaries. If we want to add a secondary, we can go right ahead as well. And then here we just go ahead and review and submit. We can say that we've completed these items or not. So it's kind of another place for that employee to double check that they've enrolled in their voluntary plan. So we really try to drive that home. So hopefully this screen, if they look at this again, maybe they had waived out of these, they might look at it and reconsider. So it's another place to kind of catch their eye. And it's just letting us know to go ahead and complete those. And then right here on our benefits tab, as you'll see, we get to kind of our overall review page. So it shows what plans they've enrolled, how much the contribution will be per month. And so we'll have these for all the Colonial plans as well. The only thing is until they're approved, they'll show that they're pending here, but they will let them know kind of how much it will be taken out of their paycheck if approved. So just an FYI that they have access to that. Perfect. So let me see if I have any questions. I know that was kind of the piece for the voluntary life. So we still have a couple more modules to go through before the end of the webinar today, but I did want to see if we have any more questions since I know this is a Colonial Life webinar. So definitely want to make sure that I'm answering all questions around that. So it looks like we have quite a few questions. So just give me a second as I read them. So again, yes, the process I'm getting asked if they're agent assisted, who's going to be submitting this data. So you're still going to follow the same process. It's just that the data does not need to be uploaded into Harmony. It's directly syncing over there. Awesome question. So I'm getting asked, what is the timeline for a build of the platform? So we recommend normally around 2 weeks, and that's just kind of being conservative with estimates. The only reason I kind of give that number is that, if the client wants to be building out an HRIS as well, we do need some of their payroll info. And really that's the main holdup, is waiting on the client to run that payroll report so that we can upload their current data into the system. Okay. Perfect. And that looks like that was the main questions for right now. Okay, and I have another question just about kind of for those other plans in there, like the medical plans, how does the data get over to the carriers? Because obviously we've all seen how the information gets over to Colonial. It's just going to bridge right over to Harmony. So for that, we kind of have a couple of options. We can put in EDI feeds if your clients are interested. So that will just directly sync to the carrier. And then also the broker has access in their portal, so we can have carrier mapped forms, for instance. So similar to how that direct deposit was prompting me to fill out that information, we can also have that for carrier forms. They can fill that out, and then in the broker portal, they can download those and send to the carrier. We also have a benefits change report that can be run. So sometimes the client can do that. It really depends on the client size, and if they want EDI feeds, we're always more than happy to ask about those. Um, Oh, awesome question. So I know I kind of mentioned the cap on how many employees we kind of look at from a group standpoint and how much we can handle, but somebody had a question about kind of the limitations for smaller groups. So our smallest group on the platform right now is 5 employees. And so obviously really 5 to 5,000 is kind of the group size, but we have plenty of smaller groups on the platform too. So don't feel like this has to be a tool just for your 1,000+ employees. We can really handle it for smaller groups as well. Perfect. Okay. And again, we do have a lot of questions on the line. So if I'm not getting a chance to answer everybody's, I do apologize, but I will be showing my information at the end. I just want to make sure I get through everything today. So I'll get back to questions in a little bit as well. But I did want to go ahead and show you a couple more modules in here. So the next one is for time off. And so this is another component of the HR system. We can build in whatever plans those specific clients offer. So in this one, I tried to include the most commonly used ones. So things like PTO, they might have a sick policy, so you're accruing data, jury duty, floating holidays, bereavement leave, whatever it might be. And so all you have to do is go ahead and request time off as an employee, and you choose the dates you'd like to take off for. So I'll go ahead, it defaults to 8. I can change those hours, choose my category, and enter in a reason here. And so this is another component of the HR system. So that's kind of another nice selling point for this, is that it doesn't strictly need to be a benefits enrollment tool. If you are only going to use it for benefits, this time off tab will not show up. You'll only have home, people, and benefits here, and they can still run benefits-based reports, but we can kind of customize it. But we do have a really nicely built out HR system. So for your clients, if they aren't using an HR system or they're not happy with theirs, as you can see, this one's pretty intuitive as far as the layout goes. So they can just go through this process. They can track their time off in here and really have this as their system of record. And then right here, the time off request goes to pending until it's approved by the manager. I can also edit or cancel this one. We have a pending approval tab that shows any hours that are awaiting approval. And then the calendar is a really nice feature too. So this is a nice, one of my favorite features, just since it really kind of connects the teams all together. You have birthdays for the office on here, work anniversaries, holidays, as well as time off that's been approved. And we can even export this over to an existing calendar, so you can copy these links in. I have mine personally synced with my cell phone on my calendar there, so I can see if there's birthdays coming up, if anybody's going to be out of the office on my team, for instance. So just really nice to connect with your employees as well. And then the people tab right here is a full directory, so you can go into there, and you can also search employees right here. I am the administrator in this company, so I'm going to have a little bit more access than a traditional employee. So this will actually pull up the full employee profile in here. So this is really the heart of the HR system. It has all of their data. Now, if I was just a traditional employee rather than the administrator, I just have access to their name, email, and location. But this is where everything, for instance, goes when it's signed in the onboarding, goes into their documents tab, and all of their information stored in here. So just wanted to show that off, that this is really kind of the heart of the system for the administrators as well. So this can be their system of record. They can use it for reporting. They can use it to keep all this data securely and safely in one place as well. And then we also have the reports in here that I just wanted to highlight really quickly. So from an HR standpoint, we have this little dashboard here. And this is really in analytics, things like turnover and headcount, time off requests, birthdays and work anniversaries. The predefined reports, plenty of them in here. These will download as CSV files, so you can open them in Excel and manipulate the data however you'd like. Everything from last pay change, payroll change report, which is huge, so they can get their data for the deductions straight over to their payroll, time off balances, And then the benefits reports, I just wanted to show you briefly too, since these, both the broker will have access to them as well as the employer. So I kind of alluded to a way that the employer can see visibility into who's making what elections. So the benefits change report and benefit census reports are quite popular, both with our brokers as well as our clients. And then down here, I just wanted to show off, we also have the voluntary plans, so they can run this and they'll be able to run reports on all of the Colonial Life plans as well. And then they have open enrollment reports right next door. So these ones have everything from enrollment change and enrollment election reports. And then even they can create custom reports. So if none of these are what they're looking for, they can just go ahead. And so we'll do a voluntary plan report. Let's say voluntary. And so unlike most systems, it's really easy to run reports in here. So all you do is click the plus sign. And just think of this as choosing the headers or the columns on the Excel spreadsheet. So I want the first name, last name, email, social. You can choose whatever personal info you want. And then right here's the Colonial Life plans. So you can choose any of this data. And so this will populate in a CSV. So you could choose all of these. So you can really just have this, for instance, I'm going to call this voluntary Colonial Life plan report, since I'm only going to have my Colonial plans on here. So this will strictly run this data, and then I'll have a report that will have those headers and these in here as well. And so you can take off some of these columns if you'd like. It's just really easy to create these reports. And then once they're created, they're saved in the system so you don't have to recreate them in the future. And you can even add these to reporting schedules. So you just go to add schedule, choose the report you'd like. If I've created that, voluntary plan one, I can go ahead and choose that one. Choose what day of the week I'd like it. And we're actually changing this around. So instead of just on a weekly basis, you'll have the ability to run this maybe on a semi-monthly, once every other week, things like that. So you'll have more capability to run that on the basis that you'd like. And so I'll send this to myself. I can send this to multiple recipients. And the broker can go ahead and run these too. So you'll have access to run reports if you need any of this data out. And then ACA and ERISA compliance, just an FYI, that's an additional service we offer if your clients are interested in ACA filing. Perfect. So let me stop sharing before I go into a little bit of kind of a drive home about the Colonial Life plan. So let me see what questions we have right now. And again, I do apologize if I don't get to everybody's. Okay. Really good question. So I have somebody on the line wanting to know what % of Flock clients use the Ben admin only versus Ben admin and HR. I would say probably maybe a quarter of our business uses just the Ben admin. I'd say a bulk of our business really does use that HR component as well. But, for our brokers, it's really up to the client themselves. So some clients might already have an HR system, and in that case, we're more than happy to work with them for Ben admin. Or let's say they're a 2,000 life group. Really, our HR components, like I said, kind of cap out around 1,000 employees, but our Ben admin really only, we say, caps out around 5,000. So we could still handle that 2,000 life group. So really, our clients over 1,000, probably the bulk of them really just use the Ben admin, but it's really kind of a mixed bag with the other ones. Perfect. Okay. Some folks just wanted to know really kind of what are some of the key kind of competitive edges to the Flock system. So first off, for that Colonial integration, we're going to have obviously that enrollment process that's going to be very similar to the Harmony system, so you can get increased engagement. And our product really compares to a lot more of, I would say, more expensive products on the market as far as the HR components go. I think that's really a selling point to those HR directors. So I know we'd all like to think that HR directors spend probably 80% of their times with benefits, but it's really probably the opposite. It's probably more 20%, and they spend 80% of their time on HR administrative work. So this system, when you get it in front of an HR director, it just completely speaks to their needs. It has all of those easy to run reports, has all of their data stored in one place. If they're doing quite a bit of hiring, they're sending out their offer letters through the system. Everything's digital. No more paperwork. They're not printing out W-4s. They're not printing out I-9s. They're not having the employees sign that on a paper-based form and then having to upload that into the system. So it really saves a lot of time and effort when it comes to things like that. So a lot of kind of key competitive edges. And then from the benefits enrollment standpoint, it's also very simple to use. You can run everything completely paperlessly. The reports are a dream. The enrollment process from an employee standpoint is really easy to use. And then you get more of a consultative approach because your broker has more access into the platform. So there's no more guessing about who's enrolling into what. Perfect. Really good question. Okay, great. So I'm going to start sharing again, and I have a little bit more of a wrap up just with that presentation as well that I wanted to go through some more slides on here. So to drive home just the Colonial integration, just as a wrap up, I just wanted to kind of rehash out what that experience looks like. So for the agent setup, I didn't go too deeply into that today, but really this is how we're going to call the Harmony system and that bridge. So right here, you just enter the commission number, enrollment state, enrollment type, and enrollment city. And then that will bring up the plans that you're looking for. So really easy to kind of pull that info in. And then here, this is actually where we get to the plan info. And again, we'll be handling most of the build out. I just want you aware of what this looks like. So here we just enter the plan start date and end date, the client key, things like that. So we'll need that data. And then that will really just set up those plans right in the system. So it's really fast, really simple. There's not a lot of manual build out involved. These are really the only two screens you have to fill out to get the info over from Harmony. And then again, just to hash out that employee enrollment in case anybody missed any of that or had any kind of clarifying questions. So the employee goes in, let's say here's the Colonial Life Cancer Plan. They previously had waived it, but let's say it's an open enrollment. We'll go ahead and say, yes, we want to change elections. And then here we get to this page where they can go ahead and get a quote. And then that will bring us right over to the application. So they'll fill in the application that will feed back into Harmony. You can do all your magic on your end, and then they're once approved, they're good to go, and then they'll be enrolled in that plan afterwards. So again, just to rehash, this is just the application. They're just getting the quote at this point. And so to kind of reiterate some of the key features, and obviously beyond the HR components and the ease of use, there are a lot of competitive edges just to this integration compared to some other systems. So what happens is you can load existing Colonial plans seamlessly. So I think that's major. You know, I don't think there's any Ben admin platform out there that really it's an easy to use system where you can kind of import the data so you can have passive enrollments even, but you can load that existing data directly in. So that's major for kind of a Ben admin standpoint. Also, the fact that you can have the agent-based plans is another key feature of the system. Not all systems out there can handle the agent-based plans where you can sit down and enroll with them. You can have this immediately as well. So there's no waiting on file feeds. You know, even our carriers, like I said, we normally have to have EDI feeds in place, but this kind of from a tech standpoint, not that you need to know the terminology, but it's an API integration directly feeds. So there's no waiting around. You can use this for life events and new hires, open enrollment. The agent-based enrollment supports will help with increased engagement. So you can sit down and explain these plans. You can hopefully get some higher engagement rates on this. There's no implementation fee, which is major. That's really just a Colonial advantage right there. Everybody else pretty much has some sort of implementation fee if they want us to handle the build out, but you don't have to worry about the setup. And I know that, you know, you might be working with other systems. You might have 12 other things to be doing, and we don't want you to have to worry about the setup and the bank level security. So it's a very secure system for your clients. So a little bit about next steps. You can always contact me directly. So I know this webinar kind of is just to kind of educate you on the platform. It might get you thinking what types of clients you might have. I know we're kind of getting into Q4 that might be a good fit. So kind of as a next step, what I would like for anybody that's interested, I know I can't get to everybody's questions. I will leave a couple more minutes towards the end for Q&A as well. But you can schedule your own personal demo with me if you want to go through the platform a little bit deeper. I also didn't go through kind of all the key features of the platform. We just went through some of kind of the highlight main pieces, but there certainly are other components of the platform I can show off. If you just want a one-on-one call to answer additional questions that I did not get to, or set up a demo for you and your client. So if you think that you have clients that could be a good fit, that you want to go ahead and have that paperless enrollment with them, you can go ahead and set up a demo with me as well. Like I said, we'll handle the demos, we'll handle the implementations. Whatever you need, me and my team are here for you, as well as the groups at Colonial. We have a great support team there as well that's helping with this initiative. So I wanted to leave this up on the screen for contact details. So again, my name is Kelly Stoika. I work on the sales team here at Flock. So I will be handling a lot of the demos. This is my direct line as well as my email address. And then for general sales questions, I also have other team members that you can reach out to. I'm on this distribution and list as well. So sales@helloflock.com. And the groups at Colonial Life were more than gracious enough to give in some of their contact email as well. So if you have any more, I guess, Colonial Life-based questions about how this will be on the Harmony side of things, harmonyconnections@coloniallife.com is a great email address there. And then they also gave me this web page that you can follow, kind of this little model right here. So sales and service, enrolling, Colonial Life Flock. And you can go ahead and learn more about that connection as well. But I am more than happy to do demos. I'm more than happy to answer questions. I'll be sure to make myself available. So let me see if we have more Q&A right here. Really good. So somebody just had a question about actually offboarding employees and what that process looks like. So if you offboard an employee, that will trigger over to Harmony as well. And then additionally, when they offboard, kind of similar to those carrier feeds, we can put in feeds to COBRA administrators. So from kind of a client perspective, just an FYI that we can also manage the kind of COBRA experience. So it'll just shoot over to the COBRA administrator, let them know that an employee has been offboarded, and then they'll go through their process. So that's just an FYI on offboarding. And so this is one of my favorite integrations I've seen to date. It really kind of keeps your look and feel of your system. So I think it makes it a lot simpler for you to really go through and help with the enrollment process, whether it's agent-based or if you're going to have the employees doing this one-on-one. But I know kind of your model is that you oftentimes like to go ahead and enroll with the employees, which is a really great model. And hopefully this will be a good tool for everybody on the line to use with their clients to make sure that they're capturing as much enrollment as possible. Great question. So I have a question just about what payroll companies we integrate with. So another good question. Currently we integrate with ADP for payroll. So that's one of our really large payroll integration partners there. So if your clients are using ADP, and another one we integrate with is Paylocity. And then from there, whatever payroll provider your client's using, all they have to do is set up that payroll change report on a weekly cadence or whatever cadence they need. And any modern day payroll provider will have a place to upload that file. So it's really just one step to go ahead and upload that file. So the file will already generate and they just upload it right in. So otherwise we can work with whoever they'd like, but if they want a direct integration, ADP and Paylocity are really good bets right there. Perfect. So I just have some other questions about other payroll providers. Currently, any of the other ones, I had probably about 10 that some folks listed, so just kind of a bulk answer. Any of the ones you just mentioned, we don't have integrations with, but we're also always looking for new integration partners. So if there's any ones that you see on a mass basis, we can certainly take a look with my engineering team at the scope of work for those integrations. We have open APIs, which just means that we're happy to connect with others. So if there's common payroll providers that you're looking for, we can certainly take a look at those integrations. Otherwise, they can always just run that payroll change report, at least for the time being, since those will take a little bit of time to build out those connections as well. Perfect. And there's just a couple more things I wanted to note. So we do have a few other integration partners as well, just so you're aware from kind of a technology standpoint. So for kind of the recruitment process, for applicant tracking, we integrate with Greenhouse. If any of you guys have used Slack before, just kind of inter-team communication, we integrate with them as a platform as well. I'm trying to think, as well as checker.com, which is a background check company, which is a really cool feature. So part of the onboarding, the kind of client can go through, the employee can go through and just enroll and kind of do their onboarding, go through their benefits enrollment, and sign in their background check. So lots of cool features, and hopefully we'll have a kind of more of those coming out soon. So we are more than friendly, like I said, as well as being broker friendly. We're very partner friendly, just like Colonial. They've been a great partner, and I'm really excited, hopefully, to start working with some of you on this connection, since I think it'll be a great tool for everybody on the line. And I think I just had a couple questions if there was any fee for the actual integration itself, so between Colonial and Flock, and there is not. So we've put this in place as a tool for everybody on the line. There is no additional cost for this bridge to Harmony, so it's completely free of charge there. And if you have any questions around pricing or anything like that, just reach out to me and we can talk kind of about your groups and what you're looking for, and I'll let you know, fill you in on the Colonial preferred pricing as well. Since, like I mentioned, everybody's getting great rates as well. We have a really good partnership with Colonial. So any of your clients are getting a very great discount compared to our retail rates. So just keep that in mind, that you also are having a really competitive edge there compared to other platforms on the market, because you're getting a good discount for what I think is a really great product. Perfect. So with that being said, I did just want to wrap things up. I'll leave this up for a couple more minutes on this page in case anybody didn't have a chance to read this. If you have any more questions, I'll be on the line for probably about 5 more minutes to answer questions. But with that, I do want to thank everybody for their time, for sitting through and learning a little bit more about this integration. We'll have some more marketing materials going out, etc. So if you need any of that, just let me know, and I can certainly provide you with some materials that will better explain some of this to your clients. But really, if you have any clients that are interested, just feel free to introduce them, and I'm more than happy to jump into demos with them or introductory calls, and that way we can help with the explaining. You don't need to learn how to demo this product by any means. It's really our team here will be the ones kind of leading that up at Flock. So beyond having to learn integrations, you don't need to learn about too much about the integration. We'll do the demos, and you also don't need to learn too much about the implementation, since we'll handle those too. Perfect. Perfect. And what we just wanted to let everybody know is the Colonial preferred pricing, I've just been told from Colonial, will be released soon and available on Proper. So look for it on there. It'll be available. I'm sure we'll probably do a little bit of a blast to everybody to let them know what that is too. So you can direct yourself to Proper after this, and it'll be up soon for you to take a look at that and learn more about this partnership. So I'm really excited. And again, thanks everybody for joining, and I will stay on the line for just a couple more minutes.